Could your garden evolve into an entirely self-sustaining ecosystem? Imagine cultivating a space where nature does most of the work, a place where plants, insects, and wildlife collaborate in harmony. This is not a fantasy, but the reality of permaculture design, a unique approach that turns the traditional gardening on its head, creating a vibrant, productive, and above all, sustainable ecosystem right in your backyard. Now, aren't you intrigued? Let's delve into the world of permaculture and discover how you can transform your garden. Permaculture, a system of agricultural and social design centered around simulating or directly utilizing the patterns and features observed in natural ecosystems. Let's dive a little deeper into this concept. The term permaculture is a fusion of permanent and culture, and it's all about creating sustainable, productive systems that emulate the harmony found in nature. If you've ever marveled at how a forest thrives without human intervention, then you've seen permaculture in action. At its core, permaculture is guided by three ethical principles: care for the earth, care for the people, and fair share. These principles are the foundation upon which all permaculture designs are built. Now, you might be wondering how these principles translate into a garden setting. Well, it's about designing gardens not as a collection of individual plants, but as a network of interdependent organisms, each contributing to the health and productivity of the whole. Imagine a garden that not only produces a bounty of fruits and vegetables, but also enriches the soil, conserves water, and provides habitat for wildlife. This is the promise of permaculture. Permaculture isn't limited to your backyard either. It's a global movement, with projects ranging from small urban gardens to large-scale farms, all designed to work with nature rather than against it. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the world of permaculture and show you the principles in action. Now let's see these principles in action. Permaculture operates on a set of core design principles. It's a bit like the architect's blueprint, or the chef's recipe. These principles are the roadmap to creating a self-sustaining garden, an ecosystem that thrives with minimal human intervention. Let's delve into these principles. First up is observe and interact. This is about really understanding your environment, the soil, the sunlight, the rainfall. It's about becoming familiar with the local flora and fauna, and learning how they interact. It's about being a student of nature. Next, we have catch and store energy. Think of it as nature's savings account. This could be as simple as planting trees for shade to cool your home, or as complex as installing solar panels to harness the sun's power. It's about making the most of the resources that nature provides. The third principle is obtain a yield. This is where the fruits of your labor become apparent. It's about creating a garden that not only looks good, but also provides for your needs. Whether it's fresh fruits and vegetables, or herbs and flowers for your homemade beauty products, this principle ensures that your garden is productive. Fourth on the list is apply self-regulation and accept feedback. This principle is about learning from your mistakes and successes. It's about tweaking your garden design based on what's working and what's not. It's about being flexible and adaptable. Fifth is use and value renewable resources and services. This principle encourages you to use what's readily available and sustainable. It could be using compost for soil enrichment, or collecting rainwater for irrigation. It's about being responsible and eco-friendly. The sixth principle is produce no waste. This is about creating a closed-loop system where everything has a purpose. It's about composting your kitchen scraps or using fallen leaves as mulch. It's about creating a system where waste is not waste, but a resource. And finally, the seventh principle is design from patterns to details. This is about starting with a broad overview and then working down to the specifics. It's about designing your garden in a way that mimics natural ecosystems. With these principles in mind, let's explore some specific permaculture techniques. Permaculture employs a range of techniques to nurture a sustainable and productive garden. One of the most popular techniques is companion planting. This method involves planting different crops in proximity for pest control, pollination, providing habitat for beneficial creatures, maximizing use of space, and to otherwise increase crop productivity. Think of it as creating a neighborhood of plants that work well together, each contributing something unique to the community. Another technique is natural pest control. This is where permaculture truly shines, as it works with nature, not against it. By encouraging a diverse ecosystem, we create a balance where pests are kept in check by their natural predators. This means less manual labor for us, and less harm to the environment from chemical pesticides. Next, we have composting, a simple yet powerful technique that turns organic waste into rich, fertile soil. Composting not only reduces waste but also enriches the soil, providing plants with the nutrients they need to thrive. It's a win-win situation for both the garden and the environment. Then there's the concept of stacking functions. This means every element in a permaculture garden should serve multiple purposes. For example, a tree might provide shade, produce fruit, and act as a windbreak. This efficient use of resources is a hallmark of permaculture design. Finally, there's the principle of observing and responding to change. Permaculture gardens are dynamic, evolving systems. By closely monitoring these changes, we can adapt our strategies, ensuring the garden remains productive and sustainable. These are just a few examples of the many techniques used in permaculture. Each one, from the smallest worm to the tallest tree, plays a vital role in creating a resilient, self-sustaining ecosystem. These techniques contribute to the journey from design to harvest. In permaculture, the journey from design to harvest is a rewarding one. It begins with a vision, a blueprint of what you want your garden to become. This design isn't just about aesthetics or functionality, it's about creating a space where every element, from the tallest tree to the smallest insect, has a role to play in the ecosystem. The design phase involves careful observation and planning. You need to understand the local climate, the direction of the sun, the slope of the land, the quality of the soil. You're not just designing a garden, you're crafting an ecosystem. And like any good architect, you need to know your materials and your site intimately. Once the design is ready, it's time for implementation. This is where your garden starts to take shape. You might begin by preparing the soil, perhaps through composting or sheet mulching. Next, you might set up your water system, which could involve a rainwater catchment or a gray water recycling system. Then it's time to plant. Not just randomly, but in a way that makes sense for your ecosystem. Maintenance is an ongoing process in permaculture. It involves observing, learning, adapting. It's about nurturing your garden, but also about letting it find its own balance. You're not the master of your garden, you're its partner. And then at last comes the harvest. This is the moment when you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor, literally. It's when you realize that all your planning, all your work, all your patience has paid off. And not just in the form of delicious homegrown food, but in the satisfaction of knowing that you've created a sustainable, resilient, productive ecosystem. But the impact of permaculture extends beyond individual gardens. It's a philosophy, a way of life that can help us build a more sustainable and resilient world. It's about living in harmony with nature, rather than trying to dominate it. It's about recognizing that we're all part of a larger ecosystem, and that our actions can have far-reaching effects. Permaculture is making a difference on a global scale. Across continents, in diverse climates and settings, the principles of permaculture are fostering sustainable living and nurturing ecosystems. From the arid landscapes of sub-Saharan Africa, where permaculture techniques are being used to combat desertification, to the bustling urban rooftops of New York City, where gardeners are transforming concrete jungles into verdant havens, permaculture is revolutionizing the way we interact with nature. In the tropical rainforests of South America, local communities are leveraging permaculture principles to preserve biodiversity and secure their livelihoods. In the farthest reaches of the Arctic Circle, innovative individuals are using permaculture design to create productive gardens in the most challenging of environments. And it's not just about the environment. Permaculture is also fostering social well-being. Community gardens sprouting up in neighborhoods around the globe are not only providing fresh organic produce, but also fostering a sense of community and shared responsibility. These green spaces serve as living classrooms, instilling in young and old alike an appreciation for nature and an understanding of our role in its preservation. In the face of climate change and environmental degradation, permaculture is offering a beacon of hope. It's teaching us that with thoughtful design and a respect for nature, we can create sustainable, productive spaces that benefit not only us, but also the world around us. Permaculture is more than just a gardening technique, it's a movement. Imagine the difference you could make with your own garden. A space thriving with life, a self-sustaining ecosystem, a sanctuary of biodiversity. By adopting permaculture principles, you foster a harmonious relationship with nature, turning your garden into a productive, sustainable haven. It's a small step for you, a giant leap for our planet. So why wait? Embrace the wisdom of permaculture and let's create a world where every garden counts. Start your permaculture journey today and contribute to a healthier planet.